I think I already started.
Yeah, well, go ahead.
No, honestly, thanks for being here today. This is really exciting for us to see all of you, to have a fun media day, and glad a lot of you got to come to practice. So you got to see that we got some good things going, and you got to see that we got a lot of work to do. So, and we're not afraid of that. So really excited about this season. Cannot believe that it's about time to really officially begin, but what a fun team to coach.
Go straight to questions, guys. Yeah, go ahead. Jennie, you have a lot of returnees this year, and then you add Beers, and you get the two newcomers, but they're all athletic and everything. What do you think of your team so far?
Depends on the minute, really. No, honestly, I think we're going to have a really hard time putting combinations together, just like we have a lot of seasons. You're going to see a lot of different things throughout the non-conference of us really trying to navigate where to put different people and what kind of looks that we want to have, whether it's defensively, whether it's offensively, and kind of putting it together. But that's a really fun challenge too, and it's one that a veteran team can handle. They can handle showing up every day. They can handle playing to other people's strengths. It's less, let me prove to you what I can do, and more of, okay, how do we do this? And that's a fun team to coach when you got that.
Jennie, obviously veteran group. You add Reagan. What has she brought to the table for this group? Especially last year, you guys lacked some size with Scott. How much does Reagan help you there?
We knew that she would really help us, obviously, on the interior. And yet, I don't know if we knew that she could play at the pace that we wanted to play, right? We knew that she could, but you got to see her run. You got to see her game kind of really come out. I mean, she can lead the break in some things. She can stretch range. But I think what she brings is a great leadership, and it's less about what she can necessarily do at the basket. We're still trying to navigate everything that we can do with her. And I think what the team has really gotten to see is that we're not changing everything. We're still running the same system. She just looks different in it.
Jennie, I want to ask you also about Liz. And
Yeah.
her recovery. How's that
Yeah.
coming along? And
Yep.
kind of progress?
So Liz was really cleared in September, to be honest, in terms of having full contact and being able to play. So she was able to do some things throughout the summer. But I think she's, again, very similar to Reagan, where she's become such an inside presence for us, and she brings a whole different physicality. And so it's one that, not that you forgot that we had, but it's one that you really now have to focus on. And so I think it's been great to be able to see her. And she's learned so much watching the game. She was a great student of the game. I mean, she was really one that was able to watch and challenge her teammates in a different way. She's one that we can communicate to in a different way now. But I just so excited to have her because she brings a different element in terms of rebounding especially.
What have you seen from her that you talk about learning so much? What's different about her game now than it was before the injury?
Well, she's one. I think she's more confident in her range. I think that's a huge part for her. I think defensively she learned a lot in terms of positioning. So she coached a lot of, she would watch a certain player and really coach that position. And so you can see that now translating and understanding. She also sees that when we see something, we're not just saying it. When you're not boxing out, you're not boxing out. And she knows and trusts that. So I think those are things that she can really start to elevate. Offensively, the timing, her reaction timing, all that stuff's still coming. So sometimes you're like, wow, that's there. Sometimes you're like, oh, yeah, she hasn't played for a year. So those things I think are really coming. But she's worked her tail off. I think she handles the ball better. She just brings a different versatility for us.
In so many different sports, everyone talks about the freshman to sophomore league. Has that been for Sahara going into her sophomore season?
Yeah, I mean, Sahara's had an incredible offseason. I mean, you talk about somebody who's really worked on her game, especially her outside shooting. That was an area of focus. Her intensity to practice every day has really elevated all of us. I mean, she's a competitor. She's somebody that, she doesn't care who's on her team and she doesn't care who's on the other team. she brings that on a daily basis, and you don't always get that with a sophomore. I thought she was really consistent all summer. I think her leadership has really elevated this team. She has an ability that she can connect with certain players on the floor and off the floor that really elevate everybody around her. And I think she's got to continue to stretch, especially when Reagan's on the floor. She found a lot of production in the paint last year. She'll continue to stretch outside, obviously from three, but also the catch and shoot inside a little bit more than maybe she did a year ago.
Talking to Reagan a couple weeks ago about what drew her to this program, she talked a lot about WNBA future and how this offense suits that. As the league has exploded in popularity, has that been a more present conversation recruiting than years past as far as making that big jump in?
Yeah. Well, when Skip Johnson tells you that he's talking about women's basketball on a deer stand, it's growing, right? So, no, I think, I think the game is exciting. I think there's more eyes on it than have ever been on it. So, you hear all the debates. Obviously, the Caitlin Clark effect is a real thing, and it's huge. But I also think she's elevated it for programs, for hometown programs. I mean, she's going to elevate it for us here, and she's never played here. And I think more people have eyes on women's basketball right now at a national level, and it's an exciting sport. It's an incredible sport that we've been proud of for a long time. I'm really glad that a lot more eyes are on it now because it is exciting. And I think we're a team that people here are going to they're going to fall in love with the team. I mean, you've heard me say this for years now. You come once, you're going to come twice. You come, you meet these women, you're coming back. Right? Your kids are going to fall in love with this team. Your grandkids are going to fall in love with this team. We just need more people to continue to come, and I think that they will. But this, I do think the WNBA is a real future for Reagan. I think what Reagan has really had to learn is that she had a great experience at Oregon State. There were unfortunate circumstances as to why she left. I think they put her in incredible positions. I think they elevated her game. I think they gave her a lot of confidence. And now we get to have her, right? And we will continue to do the same thing. We'll make her assertive. We'll get her, she'll get in shape. She'll be able to run the floor. She'll get to continue to grow in her versatility. But she spent her first 2 years there. So we better make sure that she continues to get better those last 2 years, and she will.
Liz back. Do you think Liz and Beers, then you got Skylar, that you can go pretty big, but you haven't been able to do before. Can they play together, you think?
No question they'll all play together. And that's where I think the combinations, because you also have Beatrice Culleton, you've got Kirsten Johnson, some of that. I don't know necessarily where we'll go in terms of if you keep them kind of in that 4-3 spot or if you move some people out to those 3-4 spots. I don't know. We'll have to navigate that because we have a lot of depth in our guard position too. I mean, there's not enough minutes in a game for everybody to play how much they should play. But when you have an ultimate goal to maximize your potential and you really love and care about each other, then you know what? Some nights people's number is going to be called a little bit more than others, and we're going to be okay with that. That's, again, what we're lucky with a mature team.
Skill in your bigs, it looks like. You can go big if you want to. If another team's pretty big, you can match it up.
Well, I think it allows you to have a little bit more fun. Yeah, absolutely. And I think the biggest things, again, some of our best defensive lineups aren't our best offensive lineups, and our best offensive lineups aren't our best defensive lineups. So a lot's going to depend on how people play together. So right now we're still in a phase of, okay, our interior 2 getting that combination down, our exterior 3 getting that combination down, but we got to put all 5 together. So that's where you'll see us have a lot of different lineups. Try a lot of different things. I mean, you can kind of see it today, but it's a fun problem, still a challenge, but that's also why you do it. And we have some great players on our team.
Jennie, have you ever coached a team with sisters before?
I have, and twins, actually, 2 that we couldn't even tell apart until they started playing. Then you could kind of a little bit. But this one I think is different because the people that I've coached before that are sisters are same position. Sky and Zaya are not the same position. They're not even the same player. They don't have the same, their greatest strengths are not each other's greatest strengths. And so I think that's what's been kind of fun. And they've never really played together because of this extra COVID year. So that's been a little bit of a, fun challenge. But if you were around all summer, I was talking about this earlier today, you wouldn't even know that they're sisters. I mean, Skylar's like, figure it out, Zaya. Like, I don't even think she gives her rides, so it's a unique dynamic in that. Like, I thought she would come in and just yell at her all the time, or, you'd see something, but you honestly wouldn't even know.
Obviously, Skylar's going to be a big part of things. What's your expectation of how Zaya might be able to contribute this season?
Zaya's going to be hard to keep off the floor. I mean, she really is. And she's just done some really great things throughout the summer, and she continues to get better. She's going to be somebody that her trajectory is just going to keep inching up as time goes. I think she provides defensive energy. She's really in shape. She can shoot the three. She can score at the rim. She just plays. And right now, she doesn't have to be heady. Right? You've got Vea, who can kind of be heady. You've got Peyton, who can kind of make some of those reads for her. I mean, you have a lot of veteran players that can do that. So she doesn't have to overthink the game. She can just literally come in and play, which is kind of a freshman's dream. So for her to be able to do that is a credit to everybody else. But she's going to be really hard to keep off the floor.
We saw that growth in Peyton late last season. How has she sort of taken that and progressed from there? And what areas have you seen her grow in?
Yeah. A lot of you haven't gotten to see the Peyton that we get to see a lot. I mean, she's good. She's really, really good. And she has an ability to see things before they happen. She feels the game really, really well. She can make a skip pass to lead to another pass that's a really easy shot, right? Because she can just see the whole game. She does a great job of being able to have off-ball movement in her screening. She's got a quick release on her shot. She really honestly can play 1 through 4 for us, and we put her in all those positions. So we just don't need her guarding a center, or she could, right? So it depends on the matchup, and maybe she could be a 5, I guess. But she's a special basketball player, and she's really had a nice offseason. Her leadership skill is really elevated, but she's a huge key for us.
Coach, you talked about Zaya a little bit earlier, but talk about Kaya Wiss. I mean, bringing her in. How can she help you all defensively? She's really good, high school levels, playing defense, things like that.
Yeah, I think so. And I think Kaya's going against 23-year-olds every day, so that helps her in herself, right? And so she will really have to spend a lot of time this year continuing to develop. And I think that, she's still kind of in that phase of, am I right, am I wrong? And she's where a freshman really should be, to be honest. And so I think I love her attitude. I love the way that she's working every day. She'll continue to elevate as time goes too.
Jennie, with all the extra things that are on a coach's plate in the offseason.
What do you mean, like the transfer portal, NIL, salary caps? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes,
Okay.
Revenue sharing.
Right. Following legislation.
Is there a tiny celebration of yours just getting to the season, or sense of relief for you just to finally get out there on the court and just coach basketball?
You know what I will tell you is there is so much going on now as a head coach, right? I mean, there's literally something always that comes up, something always. And we have these foreign concepts to us. I mean, I'm not even kidding when I'm talking about you're spending time trying to fundraise, you're spending time trying to figure out the world of legislation and government, right, from a federal, state. I mean, you're following state policies in other states that you're recruiting against. I mean, what are we doing, right? I mean, you're literally trying to figure out what a salary cap looks like in how you want to manage it, right? Because you still want to have some control over how you manage your day-to-day, not to mention now you're trying to manage something that's completely out of your control that you don't even know what's happening, right? So you're trying to manage a locker room when there's outside factors that you can't even control, not to mention social media, not to mention everything else. But I will tell you this, when I step on the floor, that's my favorite time of the day. It's my favorite time. And so I will keep that time as sacred as possible. And so I love October because that's when we get to be on the floor more than any other month, right? Because you get to practice when you get to practice, how you get to practice, you're intense, you're in it, it's literally my favorite time. And I don't ever take that for granted. I smile every time I go on the floor, even if we had a bad day before. Even if there's something that's not going well, that's my favorite time of the day. That's why I do what I do, and I love it. And I love to really be able to be hands-on with the women on the floor. And so I can separate that. So game day is not going to be any different. You know, this is a team that we're not going to go, we don't feel any pressure. We don't feel like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? We're ranked so high. Oh gosh, we're supposed to do this. No, we are going to love harder every single day. And when we can keep that space sacred, that they can come in and just play, imagine how good we can be. So that's my favorite part of my job, and that part will always be sacred.
Coming into a new season, there's always things you kind of want to leave in the past from last year, but the adversity you guys went through early in the year, is that something you guys talk about a lot, or something you guys can kind of think about as you go through the early part of the season?
You know, we don't get necessarily into specifics about the adversity from the year before, because ironically, adversity kind of creeps up constantly in our life, right, that you constantly face. But I will say, I said this last year at some point, and probably with you guys, that the story of that season I didn't feel was complete at the end of the season. I felt like it was going to keep going, and you can see that it's kept going, right? This is a team that looks in the mirror. This is a team that really, you know, will grow. This is a team that will work really hard, individually, collectively. They'll pour into each other. Again, it's not sunshine and rainbows every day. It's not like I don't ever yell at them, right? And it's not like they don't get down on themselves or mess up or make mistakes. But you can tell that we're going to keep growing. So that part, they've carried on. That motivation from the end of the season, still nipping at our heels. But again, it's every year is a new year. Every team's my favorite team, right? And so I think that that's where it's bled in, but we're not holding on to it all at the same time.
You mentioned not feeling pressure of preseason expectations. What about this group has kept that together? And how much, I know it's different leagues, but I think the front of conference fights the last, since you've been here, that pressure night to night, dealing with, like, how crucial is that going to be in dealing with the, you know, night to night of being a target?
Well, I'd rather be a target than sit there and tell them that they're the underdog. Because we're at Oklahoma, you don't get to be an underdog, right? So you got to show up every day, and you got to be okay showing up every day. So that's more of where we came in with that. You know, we came in the first year, that was something that I was never like, okay, nobody's going to believe in us, and then therefore then we're going to win. I don't have that. These young people and the women that are in our locker room, we have to learn to show up every day. Me too. All of us. That's what we have to do. Whatever it is, we got to show up every day. And so I think that eliminates the pressure when it's an everyday thing. You know, it's not a underdog magic. It's, you know, a Sooner magic of, okay, show up every day and you give the best that you possibly can, and then you let that winning find you. That's what we've got to continue to do. That's what we've always done, and that's what we'll continue to do.
Jennie, you hired Jonas from Oregon State. You guys have, you and him had a previous connection from Coach at Colorado. But how much did Reagan's recruitment have to do with Jonas's hiring? Did it interplay at all? How did that all work?
Yeah, ironically, not really. I mean, I think that was comfort for Reagan a little bit, but it had started prior to. So her recruiting, Jonas and I had conversation prior to Reagan, and so Reagan answered the transfer portal, and Reagan had visited Oklahoma prior to my arrival here. So that she was already looking at Oklahoma. And then we were able to kind of go through that recruiting process. So I don't think it was necessarily married, but it didn't hurt.
Talk me through a little bit what his role's been and what you expect it to be as the season goes on.
I think Jonas he's been an incredible fit so far. He's got incredible experience. He's got a good presence. I mean, other than he was like stretching with them earlier and looked awkward. I don't know if anybody saw that, but no, he's just you know, he's coached in a Final Four. He's coming off an Elite Eight. He understands. He's got wisdom. You know, he's not going to hold on to something. He's not angry. He's just got a really good demeanor. He knows basketball. He and I actually have fairly similar philosophy. He's somebody that can challenge the way that we're thinking, and I love that. And we're close enough that we you know, he's a truth teller. And I really like that. I think he's really, really good. And I hope we can keep him for a long time. And I know a lot of people are going to be knocking on the door, especially for, you know, him to be a head coach. But he's already been just a really great fit for us.
Coach, what are your expectations for Skylar this year? Obviously coming on.
She makes every basket. No, I think what Skylar has been she's been so impressive the way that she has practiced. You know, I think when I first got here, she kind of practiced, right? And that was a lot of people because that COVID year was so challenging for us to get in really good practices, right? Like, because basketball is a contact sport, but you couldn't have it, right? So you didn't really learn as a freshman. And that was before I got here. And then when I got here, like, she would be in, but she liked the sixth player. You know, like sometimes I would be like, get in, get in. Now she is setting a daily tone for us. Like, she is a competitor. She has high expectation for people. You know, Sky is one everybody loves, right? Like, she was, you know, always, I don't want to say like life of the party, but she was. Like, she was always somebody that everybody was like, oh, I like Skylar, right? Now Skylar's going to make sure that you're doing a good job. Now Skylar's a leader. People still like her, but they now respect her at a whole different level. So she has done an incredible job of being able to do that. You've gotten to see her work through some on-court pressure, right? There's expectations that she's put on herself. This year she gets to play. You know, I mean, I think she's more excited about Reagan being on that floor than anybody else, right? That provides a different element for her, and that provides a different matchup for her. So I think that's also really neat when you have great players like that who want other great players. I think Peyton and Skylar had an apartment ready for her before Reagan even came on campus, which is a true story.
Coach, other than a win, what would make tomorrow's matchup a success?
I'd like to. We've got to get in shape. We've got to get in our game shape, right? We've got to be able to play at a pace that we want to be able to play. And so I also think it's fun to showcase other Oklahoma teams. So I'm excited that we're doing that. I think that's what's really important. And it's not always just about the execution. It's about growing the game. I mean, you're asking that about the WNBA. Is that growing the game? Well, we need to do a better job in Oklahoma to really grow the game in Oklahoma. So that's also what tomorrow's about.
Anything else, guys?
You guys, thank you. You guys, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you all. Boomer.